Pastor Roy Gerhardt from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. This morning I want to take kind of a personal look at this scripture. Maybe like me, you have struggled with the overload of stress or with insecurity and anxiety in your life. Or maybe you have been frozen in depression, brought low with the feelings of defeat. And maybe you are struggling to not release that in anger and frustration. I have faced all of those struggles in my life. And when I look at King Saul in the Bible in 1 Samuel, I see a man struggling intensely with all of those same battles in his life. And we can look at that and truly relate to him if we share those struggles. But we also need to look at him and learn from him to see some of his mistakes and be able to make an improvement in our own life. You know, Saul brought a lot of his struggles on himself with the decisions that he was making. And this I have found to be true for all of us, that we can make choices that will either make things better or make them worse. Saul made a lot of mistakes in his effort to rule as king. One of the most grave errors is that he became disobedient to God, that he would instead choose to make the decision himself. Now, for many people, being empowered to make your own decisions is the epitome of freedom, but it is also the point at which many of us take on the overload of responsibility, and the stress can become unbearable, too much for one person to carry. At one point, Saul became impatient, waiting on Samuel to arrive, and he took matters into his own hands. With that, he abandoned the ability to let others help him carry the responsibility, and he failed to really fully trust in God. And so he didn't have that relief of saying, this is not all on me. God is leading, and God will have to show up in order to make this happen. You see, many of us will seize the responsibility. We will feel the burden of it overwhelming because now everything rests on you and me to make it happen. That will open the door to our insecurities. It will magnify all of our weaknesses because now as everything rests on you, all of your weaknesses will be there to undermine. And Saul became a people-pleasing leader. He became concerned about his image in front of others. And that fear was the demonstration of his weakness. His insecurities gave rise to anxiety that actually produced then kind of a paranoia. He feared David rising in popularity and success. And just because of that, focused all of his then rage and distress on him, even trying to kill him. All of this left Saul, in addition, depressed. He was so defeated, so morose that David had been brought in originally to play music for him, to try to cheer him. And Saul struggled with both the internalized frustration of unmet expectations, of even unrealistic expectations that he had taken upon himself, and the defeatedness that brought to him internally, and he struggled also then in turn with that externalizing of anger and rage. Many of us fight those same battles as Saul, and if we can learn from him, then we need to take those steps to make certain that we put God at the center of our lives. Take time, make the choice daily to have alone time with God, to set your focus on God in His presence, to let God be engaged in all of your decision making, to make Him the sovereign of your life. There you can then cast all of your cares on Him, because now it doesn't all rest on you. You're relying on God. Your weaknesses are not the focal point. Peter said, cast all your cares on Him because He cares for you. And Jesus invited us to come even in our fatigue and weakness and be able to find rest in Him. He said, even there, take my yoke upon you. Learn to work with me and for me. And there, as I teach you with gentleness, you will find rest for your soul. May God bless you today. And as you share his good news, may God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.